Well, I'm joined tonight in the studio, live. I've got Pippa with me, Vix with me, but far more importantly, I've got the Cocker Spaniel, Olive, with me, and they're from the Best Behaviour School for Dogs, and this is a very real subject. 9,000 people treated for bites and attacks, and that is exactly double the number from 1998. And we were chatting before. Did you say 50% increase on attacks on postmen, for example?
Yeah, very high.
So what's going on here? I mean, during lockdown, it seemed, and I did it, buying a dog. No, I mean, you're right. But during lockdown, people bought dogs. We know there were the puppy farms, there were puppies being produced on a huge scale. We know that a lot of people who bought dogs had never owned them before. It was also quite difficult to socialise dogs, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Also, you couldn't go into people's houses, you couldn't necessarily, you had a length of time that you could be out for a walk. But actually, I think first and foremost, we as behaviourists certainly believe that, I just think people don't really understand dog behaviour. And very sadly, only a few as sort of 1 in 10 people actually seek a training class or a behaviourist. So you're not going to understand what your dog's behaviour means, are you, as you go along? And yeah, it's lovely people
Only 1 in 10 who buy a dog.
1 in 10. Seek professional advice.
Any sense of training or understanding?
Absolutely. So
you're suggesting, in a sense, that this problem is more a problem of the owners than the dogs?
For sure, for sure. And I suppose as well, the cost of living crisis, people aren't always able to afford the help of maybe an extra of a trainer or a behaviourist. But even just appropriately run puppy classes would be good, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think if you're paying out to get a puppy, that should be included in the price.
Actually, dog food's not cheap, is it?
No, absolutely. And we were saying before, weren't we, that so much of it as well comes down to food, exercise, mental stimulation. If you're giving your dog everything that it needs for a happy and healthy life, Olive's in here for the good.
the very good treats.
Absolutely. Then your dog will be well balanced. But if you're feeding, if you can't afford to buy good dog food, as you say, they are expensive, then maybe they're not getting the right food. And then if they're not getting the right appropriate amount of exercise for their age and breed, then all these things play a major part in the behaviour that they're showing.
But there's also a big issue, isn't there? And we've seen some of this in the newspapers, 1 or 2 of the tabloids running this story repeatedly. And we've had these arguments before about various breeds of dog. Currently, it is the American Bully dog that we're talking about, and 9 people have been killed. Killed by this, not just wounded. I mean, goodness knows how many have been to hospital. 9 people have been killed by this breed of dog in the last 2 years. So what do we do?
It is devastating, without doubt. And I think because these big dogs they're powerhouses and they can cause so much damage. And when you hear of what's happened, it is terrifying. In our experience as behaviourists, all of this, the majority of behaviour, 90% of our work with aggression is nervous aggression. And that can be just as prevalent, if not more so, in the smaller dogs, maybe the spaniels or the collies or the little nippers. And people don't always get the behaviour countered because they are a smaller dog. So in our experience, we very rarely deal with something like an XL bully. We are far more treating breeds like the spaniels or the cockapoos, the anxious-natured dogs, rather than the breeds.
But should we be allowing breeds like the American Bully in this country?
It's a hard... I mean, I think the devastation that these breeds can deliver with a bite is, and they're guard dogs, is it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah. No, I didn't pretend it was easy. But it is serious.
I mean, there wouldn't be a breed that, if we're called in to deal with, we'll be looking forward to our work that day. Put it that way. No. If it was a Cocker Spaniel, the same nervous aggression, we would be rather dealing with a Cocker Spaniel for very obvious reasons.
For obvious safety reasons. So, from what you're telling me, there is really almost no prospect right now of this problem getting any better, because we've got a huge number of dogs, much bigger number of dogs in circulation than there were before. Lockdown, only 10% of people have got any basic training or any idea. Many of the buyers have never had a dog in their lives, and they mean the best, but they don't understand what they're doing. So there's no end to this problem, is there?
Well, there are two things that we're doing.
All right, come on.
So, dare I say
Okay,
it? So one thing, we've got full accreditation to the CFBA, which is one of the elite organisations in the UK. So actually you can get the...
CFBA, explain.
Canine and Feline Behaviour Association.
OK.
Sorry. And if you are a member of this association, you can... if you have a behaviour consultation from one of us, a member of this association, if you have dog insurance, you can get the money back on your pet insurance. So actually you're not having that dichotomy of, my dog's doing this, but I can't afford it, because you can actually get the money back if your dog is insured.
Okay.
So that's one thing, though, that we really want to be able to highlight.
Absolutely.
And then also...
But also we've got our campaign of prevention of dog bites, really, isn't it? Which we've been launching in schools, going round to schools within Kent, taking dogs, such as Olive, and teaching the children at a very early age how to interact with a dog, how to behave around a dog, how to read a dog's body language, showing slides of, does this dog look like it's enjoying it, enjoying this cuddle, should you approach this dog, all that sort of thing. So hopefully really educating people and getting the message out there of how they...
We'd love to be able to roll this out throughout Kent. And also kids' clubs, brownies, Cub Scouts, and also if other behaviourists do it in other areas. So I think it's education, isn't it?
OK, fair dues. Thank you for joining me. And, it is a growing problem. So, folks watching this, listening to this, if you've got a dog during lockdown and you know in your heart of hearts you don't really know what you're doing, go to a dog behaviourist, get some training. Otherwise, you might regret it. Now,